So for activity 1.9 design innovation that we're going to start today, I want to go over the activity first as far as what the expectations are, and then go back to a PowerPoint, which is like a student exemplar showing what yours may look like as a final deliverable. So for 1.9 design innovation, the activity is going to be a two-person team. And so you'll pick your team, we'll set those teams up in the LMS so that when one person submits, both members will get credit for that, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. So your two-person team will select an invention that you will research, and we have a list here for the activity. Now this is not an all-inclusive list. This is a starting point. If you'd like something on here, you would like to start with that, great. If you want to pick something different that's on this list, that's fine. Just get approval by me. And the only reason why I wouldn't approve it is if I feel like there wouldn't be enough information for you to find to complete the activity. So otherwise, it doesn't matter to me what you choose to work on. With your team selected and the object that your product selected, what you're going to do is research that invention by your chosen team and discover at least the information below and document in your notebook. In the engineer's notebook, I want to be answering these types of questions like, when was the product invented? What need did this product address? Who invented the product? So on and so forth. So these are things that we want to research and find the answers to online. Document where that's coming from, because we're going to need to know where these references came from. And this is going in the notebook. From there, meaning once that has been completed, we're going to prepare a 3 to 5 minute presentation so that you can present your idea to your peers. Within your presentation, we're going to be looking for the following things, so A through G. In fact, the rubric that I created for this activity is based on A through G. Make it simple. If you include your team member names, class period, and select an invention on your title slide, you should receive full credit for that on this activity. Okay? So we're doing the research, we're going to make a presentation, and then you'll present that to the group. I'm going to scroll down to get to the actual rubric. So the bottom of this activity, the rubric is already there. Right? And these are the criteria. Again, it just pulled from the previous part of this activity of what you will be graded on for this activity. Everything on the left-hand side is what you're shooting for. So you can check yourself before you turn this presentation in. Right? Do I have all the information necessary for the title slide, for the disciplines of engineering, the timeline, so on and so forth. So let's look at a student exemplar then. This is what could be an example of what this PowerPoint might look like. In this case, it appears that they're selecting, the car to do the timeline on. And I'm finding images of showing maybe the earliest cars, which were a steam engine, and all the changes and iterations based on need, based on technology that gets us to where we are now, where cars can be hybrid. Other products could be simpler than a car. It could be, in this case, the watermelon. Why would we change the watermelon from something that's completely round to something that's square? Well, maybe it's for the purposes of storage, right? It's not going to roll off the shelf if it's in a square shape. Maybe it's just purely aesthetics. I like what that looks like. That's pretty cool. I'm going to buy that watermelon because it's square, right? So in this case, they're growing watermelons in boxes so that they take that shape. Maybe it's because of technology or for security reasons why we've had a change in the product. Maybe the original hotel key was an actual key, right? I check in, they hand me a key, that key opens the lock to the room that I'm staying in. The problem with that is that, one, you may not turn the key back in, so then they have to redo that lock. Or if they don't redo that lock, you basically always have access to that room. So that's kind of a security issue. Modern day hotel keys are on little cards, and they can program a code that unlocks the door. If you don't turn this key in, it doesn't matter to them. They buy them in the thousands. You don't return a key, it doesn't matter. We simply reprogram the next key to unlock the door in the hotel. So in this case, technology has allowed us to be more secure with our keys. Also, as part of your research, keep in mind that a product has a changing life cycle. Meaning that if you're redesigning something or you're starting from scratch, there are going to be changes in needs over the life of that product. If that does happen, then we need to be doing research about what needs to change. Maybe there's new materials or technology available that we can incorporate into our design. So we're going to develop that. We're going to manufacture the new product, test it, market, distribute, and then get feedback. So it's a cycle in the sense that the manufacturers and consumers and designers work together as the needs or technology or changes for your product. So let's look at the toothbrush as our example. Let's say we picked the toothbrush as our product, and we're going to do an exemplar of what that product would be over its life cycle. Early records in this case show that the toothbrush dates back to 5,000 years ago. Babylonians rubbed a chew stick on their teeth and mouth to keep them clean. So that's the earliest invention of the toothbrush. In 1498, the bristle toothbrush was created in China. The bristles were the stiff, coarse hairs taken from the back, the hog's neck, and were attached to handles made of bone or bamboo. So like the chew stick, I'm not sure that I would want to put that in my mouth. The first American to patent a toothbrush was in the 1850s. So we're talking like Civil War era was the first introduction of toothbrush in America. Most Americans, however, did not brush their teeth until Army soldiers from World War II were taught to have it and brought that back home. So in the 40s then was the first time that Americans started to actually brush their teeth. So we're only talking like 80 years ago, 70 years ago. Natural bristles were used in toothbrushes beginning in 1938. So this is a change in technology that allows us to no longer use like coarse hairs from a hog's neck and use a nylon material. The first nylon toothbrush commercialized in the industry was called Dr. West's Miracle Toothbrush, and I have an image here. Other technology changes would allow us to have manual brushes going to electronic brushes. And even those have changed quite a bit over time. So the 60s would be the first commercialized electronic toothbrush. And like we say, modern day ones don't even look anything like the original ones. There's been a lot of focus in the last 100 years on ergonomics. Ergonomics has to deal with the comfort, the grip, fits your hand type of things, or the configuration of the bristles of the toothbrush. So some of the earlier toothbrushes where you have a straight handle and straight bristles compared to a little bit more modern one where you have some ergonomics, change in material, has a gel feel. It's going to fit the contours of our fingers. And then the bristles, the configuration are designed specifically to fit the teeth or clean the teeth better. And then nowadays we have electric toothbrushes that have built-in timers, and they're almost disposable now. You buy electric toothbrush, the battery dies, I buy a new electric toothbrush, right? So the technology has brought the cost of doing that way down. And then finally, the last thing here, and they only have one reference, but ideally for you guys, we're gonna have at least 4 different sites. Our references would go into our PowerPoint. So let's talk about the actual deliverable for this project. And you're going to make a presentation, but the presentation doesn't necessarily have to be a PowerPoint presentation, although you have that software on your computer. There's also the option to use Prezi. So anybody who's used Prezi before, it's a little bit more interactive, it's a little bit more interesting as far as the way you present. You're welcome to do that. The other option, and the one that I would probably most recommend, would be to use Google Slides. So in our Drive, I can use Google Slides to make my PowerPoint. So let's go over what that process would be. If I click on New, click Google Slides, it's going to look very similar interface-wise to PowerPoint. I can choose a theme to apply to my slides. And then all the formatting tools that you would see in PowerPoint, you would have within here as well. Once I name this activity, so I'll do activity 1.9, I can share this activity with my team member by clicking on share. And when you add the person and make them somebody who can edit this activity, now you guys can be making changes simultaneously to the same PowerPoint. So if I'm working on the title slide, you could be working simultaneously on the references, and it's saving those at the same time. So those are the different options. I'm going to give you guys about 4 class days to work on this. Today I would start by identifying who you want to work with. We have an even number in this period, so it'll be teams of 2. From there, identify the product that you want to do. If it's not on that original list, make sure you clear that by me. The biggest thing is I want to make sure you have enough information to produce the PowerPoint, and then start your research on that and document that. All of this will be presented next week, and then your PowerPoint will be submitted to the LMS.